abuse is sadly a very, very real thing, so Timothy also suffered in his childhood. Timothy's mom really struggled with motherhood. Whenever Timothy would cry as a baby, she would either completely neglect him or put him in freezing cold water. Allegedly, she was terrified of having a fat child, so when Timothy was a baby, she force-fed him laxatives. When Timothy was only 2 years old, his mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia and was hospitalized for 20 years. He was then raised by his dad and grandmother. Throughout his childhood, he witnessed a lot of dysfunction, substance abuse, and violence. Timothy also began to abuse substances, and at only 15 years old, Timothy was in a very serious car accident which left him with a traumatic brain injury, and allegedly afterwards he was never the same. He started committing crimes, like some really serious ones, like Grand Theft Auto, and was arrested at 19 years old. Once he was out of prison at 21 years old, he decided that he was going to turn his entire life around. He got very religious, he got a degree, he got a really good job making like $80,000 a year, and Timothy met his soon-to-be wife, Amber. And when I say soon, I mean soon. There was an instant spark. They were engaged 2 weeks after meeting each other and married after knowing each other for only 6 weeks. The couple had 3 kids, like back to back to back, and everything seemed good for a little bit, but everything would quickly change. Timothy wanted like a trad wife, but a trad wife times 10. He had a list of very controlling and strict rules for his wife. He didn't want Amber to have any friends, have any contact with her family. He did not allow her to have a job. In his mind, his wife's only duties were to cook, clean, and make babies. And if she ever disobeyed him, he would physically abuse her. The cycle of abuse continues. In 2011, Timothy was reported to social services for the first of many times. The caseworker reported that Amber was being abused and that the children were being neglected and mistreated, but nothing was done and it would only get worse. Timothy and Amber had 2 more children, making it 5 very young children total. Timothy would threaten to kill his wife in front of his 5 very young children, and one day, Timothy nearly killed his wife and 5 children. Amber started having an affair, and when Timothy found out, he filed for divorce and vowed to take her children away from her. He didn't care about having custody of his kids. He didn't care about his kids, but he didn't want his wife to have them because he wanted to hurt her. Despite at this point already having multiple reports against him sent in to the Department of Social Services, Timothy was granted custody of the 5 children. Because Amber didn't have a job, and he did, but the only reason Amber didn't have a job was because Timothy wouldn't let her have a job. Without a wife to abuse and control, all of his focus was now on his 5 children and making their lives a living nightmare. The children had strict rules, they were beaten, they were starved, and if he ever fed his children, it was only ever oatmeal. The children were forced to exercise for long periods of time until the point where the young kids were practically collapsing from exhaustion. People were noticing that these children were being severely abused. In the span of about 3 years, there were 12 separate reports to social services, but nothing was ever followed up on. Even just 2 weeks before today's tragedy, there was yet another report sent in to the Department of Social Services listing that the children were being physically abused. A caseworker went to the home and noted that the children were starving and that there were visible bruises and injuries on these 5, again, very young children, but again, nothing was done. Just like the 11 times before, and just a few days later on August 28, 2014, Timothy killed his 5 children. 8-year-old Mara, 7-year-old Ellis, 6-year-old Natan, 2-year-old Gabriel, and 1-year-old Elaine. According to Timothy, he became paranoid and he believed that his children, ranging in age between 8 years old and 1 year old, were conspiring against him. He wanted to punish his 6-year-old son, Natan, so he made Natan do one of these like extreme workouts, but this time it lasted hours. Sit-ups, push-ups, squats, whatever Timothy wanted. If his 6-year-old son begged to stop or started to slow down, Timothy would beat him. This time he made 6-year-old Natan work out until he collapsed and was unresponsive, and tragically, 6-year-old Natan passed away from extreme severe exhaustion and dehydration. When Timothy realized that he had killed his 6-year-old son, he started thinking, and he realized that he was probably going to go to jail. And he's thinking, if I go to jail, my ex-wife will get custody of the other 4 children. And he hated his ex-wife so much that he decided that he was going to kill his other 4 children so she couldn't have them. And that was 8-year-old Mara, 7-year-old Ellis, 2-year-old Gabriel, and 1-year-old Elaine. He killed them with his hands on their neck, and for the younger two, they were too small, so he used a belt. Afterwards, Timothy attempted to try and cover this up and go on the run. He drove around with his 5 children's bodies in his car for several days before dumping them on the side of the road like they were trash to him. Him and his 5 children were reported missing. Timothy was only on the run for 8 days before he was pulled over for driving under the influence, and he was very intoxicated, because driving drunk is exactly what you want to do when you're on the run for murder. He's literally such an idiot, but we're glad for it. So they run his license and they find out that him and his 5 children are missing. There's no kids in the car, but it smells like there's a dead body in the car. There was also blood and visible bleach stains in the car, so they brought him into custody, and almost right away, he started confessing. He also led the police to where they could find the bodies of his 5 children. His trial began in 2019, and he tried to plead guilty by reason of insanity. He claimed that he was a schizophrenic just like his mom, but it was concluded that he was faking schizophrenia. He was found guilty and he was sentenced to death. He is actively trying to appeal his death sentence. I guess he doesn't think that he deserves to die, but 5 innocent children do. The last update I got was that he was denied his appeal in 2023. I have not found any set date for his execution. If you watch the end of this video, please remember Mara, Ellis, Natan, Gabriel, and Elaine, because this is their story. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. It's okay to bully Timothy Jones Jr. because he's a disgusting, pathetic monster. When you're in the comments, please let me know what case you want to see me cover next. Thank you to everyone that suggested that I cover today's case. Please be a good person to your fellow person. I will see you guys all next time in my next video. This YouTuber killed his entire family. I'm not even joking. I get a comment or a DM nearly every single day asking me to cover this case. This is the case of Trey Sessler, or Mr. Anime. Trey Sessler had a seemingly normal childhood and seemed like any other normal guy. That is until he turned 13. For whatever reason, 13-year-old Trey wanted to shoot and kill one of his friends. But he didn't have a weapon, so his plan was to falsely call 911 and then try and steal a weapon off of a police officer. His plan failed, and Trey was ordered to get a psychiatric assessment. I could not find any documented diagnosis that Trey Sessler might have, but at the time of our case, he was taking medicine for anxiety and bipolar disorder. In 2006, YouTube was the next big thing, and 17-year-old Trey started his own YouTube channel. He first started uploading comedy skits and sketches, but a lot of his sketches involved violence and weapons. Eventually, Trey would be known on YouTube and online as Mr. Anime and started posting anime reviews and became quite popular in that niche. Trey has been credited with helping kickstart the anime community on YouTube and is also apparently one of the biggest inspirations for a lot of the big names in the anime community today. Trey's videos started out really good and he seemed really level-headed, but along the way there was a switch in Trey and his content. Trey began acting erratic and abusing substances and alcohol. He also got really obsessed with weapons and was having really dark thoughts and fantasies. There was a lot of rural farmland around near where Trey lived, and nearly every single night he would sneak onto these people's farms and shoot and kill their horses and their cows. And he would later say that this was easy for him to do. He also killed his pet kitten and buried it with a note that said, "Please forgive me." Trey's life is spiraling and spiraling into something darker and darker with every passing month. He becomes obsessed with serial killers, mass killings, and school shootings. He was especially obsessed with Columbine. Eventually, Trey wanted to become a killer himself. He thought that maybe he wanted to become a serial killer, but decided against doing that because he said that being a serial killer would give him too much anxiety. So eventually, he started planning to shoot up his old high school. There was going to be this big pep rally at his old high school, and he said he wanted to go there and kill at least 70 people so he could become the biggest mass murderer in history. But according to Trey, as he began planning his attack, he started to think about his family. And Trey decided that he wanted to spare his family the pain of knowing what he was about to do and what a monster he was about to become by killing his entire family. After a night of binge drinking on March 19th, 2012, 22-year-old Trey lured his mom, Rhonda, into the garage and shot and killed her. He later said that he regretted doing this the second he did it, but that he was already committed and it was too late to back out now. So even though he already regretted killing his mom, he still went and shot his brother Mark and his father Lawton. After being initially shot, his brother Mark actually survived and ran and locked himself in the bathroom, but Trey broke himself in and killed his brother anyway. After killing his entire family, Trey trashed the entire house. He then killed all of the family pets, which were 2 birds, 1 ferret, and some fish. He then took a black marker and wrote all over the walls and some of the doors. He wrote things like, "Help me, I love my family, and I will never forgive myself. I don't know why I did this." He did plan to go through with what he had planned to do at his old high school, but luckily he never got the chance and was arrested at his friend's house 3 days later. Trey never tried to hide his crimes. Once he was arrested, he made a full confession. He said he regretted what he did. He showed remorse. He even said that he knew that he was a danger to others and a danger to society. He pled guilty and received life in prison without the possibility of parole. He also blamed the internet for his dark thoughts and fantasies. I'm really interested to hear all your thoughts on this case today, guys. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. While you're there, please let me know what case you want to see me cover next. Thank you to each and every one of you that suggested I covered this case. Please be a good person to your fellow person. I will see you guys all next time in my next video.